Okay, hello and welcome to this video. This is Mr. Howard speaking. This will be the first video for the 8th grade series of videos. We are just going to work some problems in this video, and the topic is fractions, decimals, and percents, converting between each and getting the equivalence of each one of those. Plus, we're going to do some shading for some visual representation. You can get a lot more detail and a lot more review if you go to the 7th grade set of videos on MrHowardMath.com, and that will be under Unit 1 and are also on YouTube under the 7GR series of videos. So it'll be the first like 7GR1 through say 10, 7GR10 for a lot more overview. But again, in this video we're just going to work some problems. So let's do that. Alright, the first one that we're looking at, we've already got our shading here, right? So we need to write how much of this whole thing is shaded as a fraction. Well, let's count how many are shaded, and how many are shaded is going to be what? Our numerator or denominator? It's going to be our numerator, right? Because it's the number of pieces that we are referring to in this example. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, seven pieces that are shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, the total of 14, right? 7 out of 14. And you can probably see we can simplify this. 7 goes into 7 one time, 7 goes into 14 two times, right? 1/2. Makes sense? Because if you look at this circle, half of it is shaded, right? So that makes sense. So now let's go to a decimal. Well, how do we go from a fraction to a decimal? Well, and if you review the videos and you think back, you'll remember that this right here, 1/2, is the same as saying 1 divided by 2, right? So we can just do that right here. 1 divided by 2. 2 goes into 1 0 times. We bring down to 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. 0 remainder. We are done. Therefore, our decimal is just 0.5 or 5/10. I'm going to circle that since we've got some extra work there. Now, when we go from a decimal to a percent, you probably remember that we move the decimal either left or right. Which way? We move it to the right, correct? We move it to the right. How many places? 2 places, always 2 places. So 1, 2, that would give us 50, right? Our decimal was here. We moved it 1, 2 places, and we slap on our percent sign. All right. Again, there's more review on all of this in the 7th grade series of videos. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have the fraction this time already done. So how do we attack this one? Well, we need to look at the denominator first. That tells us how many pieces to split this whole thing into, right? So we're splitting it into how many? 4 pieces, right? 4 pieces, so let's do that. We've got it split into 2. Do that again, so right through there. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now how many do we shade? That's our numerator, right? The number of pieces that we're currently talking about. So we need to shade one of those 4. 1 out of 4 are shaded. So let's put that in. Any one of these can be shaded, right? It doesn't matter which one. We'll just do that one. Okay? Alright. Next, to the decimal. Same drill. 1 divided by 4, right? Just for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and just put that in. Let's do it in blue. It's 0.25. And you're going to start memorizing some of these. 0.25 or 25 hundredths, right? When we say it 25 hundredths, that's a lot better. Why? Because if we had to go from a decimal to a fraction, we can just do this. 25 out of 100, 25 hundredths, right? 25 goes into 25 one time, 25 goes into 100 4 times, and boom, that's the same, right? So it's important that we say 25 hundredths. All right, now decimal to percent. You know the drill. We move that decimal 1, 2 places to the right. That gives us 25. Slap on our percent sign, and we are done. Okay, 2 down. We've got 3 more to go. Here's an interesting one. 33 1/3%. So how do we attack this one? Well, for most people, and my guess is this will be the best way for you to attack this, and that is to change this fraction to a decimal to make it easier to work with. Because remember, once we have this percent in decimal form, we can then just move the decimal place, erase the percent sign, and we're done. So let's convert this real quick. Let's make this into a decimal. I think you'll like that better. So 33 and 1/3. So what is 1/3 as a decimal? Well, it's just 1/3 is the same as 1 divided by 3, right? So 3 goes into 1 0 times, put it in our decimal place. 3 goes, add the 0 there, 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 left over, bring down another 0. 3 goes into 10 again, 3 times, and you can see we're going to have a pattern here. So 1/3 is the same as 0.33. So let's rewrite this as 33. We'll just stop at 1 decimal place, 33.3%. Same as, right? If you're not clear on that, just rewind the video a little bit and watch that again. So 33.3%. Now, to go from a percent to a decimal, what do we need to do? We need to move our decimal place, right? Well, since we're going from percent to a decimal, we've already gone decimal to percent. From decimal to percent, we moved it to the right, correct? So we're doing the opposite this time, going from percent to decimal. So that means we need to move the decimal which way? To the left, right? Same number of places, and now we erase the percent sign. So we're doing the opposite here. All right, let's go back to blue. So we're moving it 1 2 places, removing the percent sign. So that would be, all right, and removing the percent sign. Okay, so 0.333. And it would be fine to put the little bar over this because that's just going to repeat, right? Okay, now we need to do a little bit of estimation. Okay, and one way we can do that is if we had just the 0.33 or 33/100ths, right? So let's do that. Just to make this easier, we're going to knock this one off, and we'll just put our little bar back over this 3 because it's the same thing. Okay, so this is the same as 33/100ths. Now we're estimating here 33/100ths because this 3 really repeats. We've got some extra left over out here. So we're going to estimate this as a fraction and say 33 out of 100, right? Okay. Now, we don't want to, and just so we're clear, the precise way to do this would be, it actually ends up being 33 out of 99, which would reduce to 1/3. And that'll give you the exact value. Remember, 1 divided by 3 will give you this 0.33333, on and on and on and on. So that's actually what it needs to be. But we can estimate it this way. So which would you rather do here? Remember, it's okay to estimate. So what would you rather do here? Would you rather split this circle into 100 pieces or just 3 pieces? Probably 3, right? That'd be a lot better, be a lot easier. So let's do that. And the way I always do thirds is just make the peace sign. The peace sign there. That's not perfect, but if you do this on your paper, I'll know what you mean. So we'll shade how many pieces? We've got 3 total. We're shading 1. Okay. That's really bad. I need to redo that. That's not a very good job on my part. Let's try that again. Let's make these pieces look a little bit closer. That's better. I like that. Alright, let's shade that 1 piece. Okay. That can be a little tricky. So make sure you watch that again if you need to. Alright, now another tricky one, a little bit different here. We've got 175%, right? 175%. So what do? Let's go to percent to a decimal first. We move the decimal how many places? 2 places. Which way? To the left, right? So 1, 2. Alright, there's the phone. Alright, sorry the phone rang. That happens. Alright, back to this. So 175%, we said we need to move the decimal 2 places to the left, right? So 175 and then 1, 2. Then we remove our percent sign, so that becomes 1.7. Let's do that again. Hold on. that becomes 1. Well, we're not working here. There we go. 1.75. We remove our percent sign, and then we have our decimal. I really need to scoot that over because I'm getting into our fraction area. Hold on. Let's move that over. So 1.75 is our decimal, right? Okay. So now to write this as a fraction, we have 1 whole and 75 hundredths of another, right? 1 whole and 75 hundredths of another. So we can write that this way, and then we're going to simplify it. 1 75 hundredths of another, right? You can also write this as 1 plus 75 out of 100, right? So we have 1 whole thing, that's the left side of the decimal, and then 75 hundredths of another one, right? So 1 and 75 hundredths. Now we can rewrite all of this. We can simplify that. All right, you probably see that already. The 1 stays, right? The 75 hundredths can be reduced or simplified. Okay, so the easiest one that's going to pop out, if you know change and quarters of a dollar, for example, then 25 goes into 75 how many times? 3 times, right? 3 times. And 25 goes into 100 4 times. So there. That is as simplified as we can get it. 1 3/4. Okay? 1 3/4. Alright, so now the shading. How are we going to attack the shading here? Well, first let's do, I'm going to circle here. We've got 2 pieces, right? We've got this piece, and then we've got this piece. Okay, so 1 whole one has to be shaded here. There's the 1 whole one, and then the next one, we can treat that as 3/4, right? That's exactly what it is. It's 3/4. So same way we attacked all of these, the denominator is the number of pieces it's split into. That's 4, right? That's 4. Split that into 4 pieces. And then the numerator, the top number, is the number of pieces of that whole that are going to be shaded in this case, which is how many? 3, right? So let's shade 3 of these. I should have done this in green. My fault. So 1, 2, 3. Let's see if we can, yeah, there we go. Right? So 1 and 3 out of 4. 1 plus 3 out of 4. Same as 175%. Okay? Alright. Last one. Let's move. Okay, we've got 1.4, right? 1 4/10. Let's go to a percent, right? That's usually the easiest way. Go decimal to percent. We move this how many places? 2 places to the right. Alright. Let's put that in. 2 places to the right, add the percent sign. 140%, right? Now, as a fraction, this is the same as, this right here is the same as 1 and 4. How many is this? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. It's the tenths place, right? 1 4/10, right? Which can simplify to 2 goes into 4. How many times? 2 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 1 2/5. Okay? So let's do our shading. Alright. So 1 whole thing is shaded, and then 2/5 of another. Alright, so I'm going to have to do some work to split this into 5 pieces. Hold on here. Alright, that's not perfect, but now it's split into fifths, right? 5 pieces, and then 2 of those are shaded, right? 2 of those are shaded. Okay, so 140% of this is shaded. So it's not quite half, right? So that looks about right. Alright, so I hope that video has been helpful for you, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Remember, you can always watch the 7th grade videos for more coverage on this particular topic.